Professor Thomas Homer Dixon is a political scientist and conflict specialist. He's an extremist.
Absolutely. I mean, he lost the election. And immediately after the election, he started to mobilize us to try to steal it, to try to block the legitimate political result.
Professor Dixon doesn't hold back. He says since Trump lost the election, he's turned against democracy and has done everything in his power to convince his millions of supporters their electoral system is rigged.
The American people deserve answers. The January 6th rally was a protest against a crooked election carried out by unhinged Democrats, big tech, and working with the fake news media, all working together to defeat Republicans and your favorite president, me.
From the moment he lost, Donald Trump said he didn't.
Last year we had a rigged election and the proof is all over the place.
And even when US judges threw out more than 50 lawsuits challenging the election result because there wasn't any evidence, Trump still maintained he was the winner.
And we won twice, and we did better the second time.
With so many supporters now in tow, the fear is if Trump runs again for the Oval Office, what happens if he doesn't get the outcome he wants?
Somewhere around 70% of the Republican members of the Republican Party believe that the election was stolen. That really corrodes the underlying institutions of democracy in the country. It means that for those Republicans that it's very likely that they will refuse to accept the result of any election in the future where their candidate doesn't win. And you can't run a democracy when people are taking that kind of position.
If I run and if I win, we will treat those people from January 6th fairly. We will treat them fairly. And if it requires pardons, we will give them pardons.
What did you think of that statement?
Well, I heard other Republicans saying that too. They picked up on his cue, I'm sure. That's very disturbing.
Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson was former Secretary of State Colin Powell's Chief of Staff. He's outraged the perpetrators of last year's January 6th insurrection could ever be forgiven. So what's the message that he's sending?
He's saying, if there's anything you do following me that is a violation of the law, quote unquote, I'll take care of that. Either through a presidential pardon or I won't allow the case to be prosecuted against you.
But behind the scenes, this is just one of the ways Trump is ensuring if he runs, he wins.
And we will make America great again.
His planning also includes a concerted effort to put his supporters in key electoral positions at a state level now, so they're in place early for the 2024 election.
Yeah, there's a massive mobilization across the country by Republican operatives in all of the swing states that Trump needs to win, and decisively, where Democrats might win, but they want to be able to overturn the election results if that should happen. There's a deliberate effort by the Republican Party to capture the electoral machinery.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Trump-endorsed candidate Kari Lake.
But of all the weapons in Trump's re-election arsenal, the most formidable could well be this take-no-prisoners politician. Her name is Kari Lake, and as you're about to see, you cross her at your own peril.
You're trying to twist this interview and trying to make me look bad.
At People Care Health Cover, we care about our members. As a not-for-profit health insurer, we work for you, not for shareholders. It's what gives us a 94.9% member satisfaction rate. Because with People Care, you're in good hands.
Aussies need to keep going their own way. They can't afford not to. They're saving lives on our beaches, inspiring the next generation, and nurturing and protecting the one.
As you may here and does the Australian government honestly think that all of Australians are just sheep? That we're that gullible, stupid? Like, I hate words like gullibly. In order to fucking try to fathom the understanding of anyone's mentality at this point that is in support of the government. This current government, it's murdering us outright. There is 9 pages of side effects from the one vaccine from Pfizer so far that they've released. 9 pages of side effects. Yeah, and we're still going to pretend that we trust the government? What the hell? It's a joke, is it? But come on, I'm still waiting for this punchline. Sorry about the break, though, yeah. There's TV ads on. So I'll keep you entertained for a little bit until the ads come back on. Yeah, Japanese encephalitis, that disease that causes swelling of the brain. Supposedly there's this outbreak of it caused by mosquitoes. I wonder how many people have read those 9 pages of side effects caused by the COVID vaccine. One of them being encephalitis, swelling of the brain, is a side effect, is a reaction to the COVID vaccine. It's in the list. But we're going to blame it on mosquitoes, are we? I'm trying not to laugh, but what the fuck? How can you not laugh at just the stupidity of all of this? Anyone out there right this moment that is going, oh, you're just a crazy conspiracy person, go and look on Pfizer's own website. They've released their 32-page report. The last 9 pages is of the listed side effects from last year, from 1 year ago. And they didn't want to release that data. It was actually, they tried to put in a court order in to make it so we weren't allowed to see it for the next 7 years. So what the fuck? And yeah, we've got this crap on 60 Minutes, this joke of a mainstream media.
One-time Fox News host, Kari Lake, wants to be the next governor of Arizona.
I'm ready to take a sledgehammer.
These TV smashing ads have given her campaign a boost, but not nearly as much as being endorsed as the Republican nominee by Donald Trump.
Do you guys love him as much as I love him?
It's not difficult to see why he likes her.
I think he's a great president. I think he's one of the best presidents we've ever had, and I think he will be back. I think he will win in 2024, and he will come back with a vengeance.
The outgoing Republican governor in Arizona is Doug Ducey. He's out of favor because he defied Trump's bullying at the last election. Instead of cheating, he played by the rules and declared the result in his state that went Joe Biden's way was a fair one. But Kari Lake reckons that's a nonsense.
Well, considering how much already at the time information we had about serious irregularities and problems with the election, I would not have certified it right then. Wasn't it great to hear from President Trump?
If you hadn't worked it out already, Kari Lake couldn't be more in tune with Donald Trump.
Do not believe a word that the corrupt media says, that they're liars, and frankly, I think they're criminals. of them probably should be locked up.
It's a toss-up who she loathes more, journalists or the officials she says stole the election from Trump by declaring Biden the winner.
Anybody who was involved in that corrupt, shady, shoddy election of 2020, lock them up.
The point is, on a broad scale, on a very broad scale, right across the United States, you've had election officials, you've had court officials, you've had judges look at this.
They've not looked at the evidence. They've not looked at the evidence.
Well,
They've not-
there's been no evidence. No evidence has been presented in a single court of law in your country that has proved there's election fraud. I mean, if that is true, if it was stolen, as you say, why is there no evidence a year down the track?
All of the past cases that have been heard in court, none of the evidence was presented. We now have the evidence from the forensic audit. The forensic audit is evidence, and it can be presented in a court of law, and I hope it will be. People broke laws. They broke election laws here. They broke state laws here, and laws were broken. And it's really rich to have somebody from Australia coming here trying to tell us how our elections were run.
I'm not trying to tell you how to run your voting system. I'm just trying to get a handle on how you view it. I mean, obviously, it's clear that what you're implying is that if you win, then it'll be fair. But if you lose,
No, that's not what I'm implying. That's not what I'm implying.
If you lose, it'll be rigged.
No, I just told you, Liam, that we have lawmakers currently at the moment, probably at this very moment, working hard to put forth legislation to try to make our elections more fair. What we're doing is not just about the 2020 election, 2022. We're trying to make our elections fair so that going forward, every voter in Arizona, whether they be Democrat, whether they be independent or Republican, can feel good that the election was honest.
Kari Lake won't budge an inch. The system's broken and must be fixed. And millions of Americans agree with her, including an increasing number of US servicemen and women. It's a frightening scenario for Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, General Colin Powell's former chief of staff. How many do you think in the military really believe Trump's stance that the election was stolen?
I think I'm probably safe in saying somewhere from a quarter to a third.
That's a big number. That equates to a lot of people.
It does.
In fact, last year, 120 retired high-ranking military officers, generals and admirals signed an open letter declaring Joe Biden had stolen the election. Colonel Lawrence says this could signal a split in the military at the next election, with those supporting Trump going their own way.
It concerns me, and it concerns the flag officers, admirals, generals that I still know and still communicate with. And I suspect, and I almost can say I know, it concerns General Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He's made it quite clear that it concerns him. And it should. It should, because we're looking at what one person said to me the other day, the most important instrument in most is the military. Which way does the military go? The people with the guns, which way do they turn? And do they fall apart themselves and add to the melee?
It's a worrying thought in an already violent country, where scenes like the attack on the Capitol building in Washington seem to be applauded by as many people as condemned it. We saw lots and lots of very confronting pictures over many days as they replayed various angles on it. On the January 6th riots, insurrections, call it what you like. I mean, how did you see that? How do you view the events of the 6th of January at the Capitol?
Well, that really doesn't have anything to do with being governor of Arizona. I wasn't there. I had nothing to do with that, sir.
Well, your man Donald.
It's always the conspiracy theorists in the media, which I'm.
Well, that's not
I'm
true.
counting you as.
Well, that's not true at
you
all.
guys-
That's not true
No,
at all.
you've called
Kari,
our
let's be fair on
election.
this. Let's be fair on this. Your man
You've
Donald.
called our election the big lie.
Your man
You've
Donald
called-
brought it up. Your man Donald said
Why
only a
would
few.
you say that, sir?
What?
Your man Donald?
Well, he is. I mean, he's endorsed you personally. He said a few days ago that those people at the Capitol should be pardoned. They should all be pardoned. Do you think they should be pardoned?
I'm still amazed that you say your man Donald. That's just so disrespectful.
Well, why would it be? He's endorsed you. You have his personal endorsement.
It's just the flippant attitude. It's obvious that you've come into this. It's obvious you've come into this interview and you don't like President Donald Trump.
Kari.
It's obvious.
Well, do you think they should be pardoned? Do you think they should be pardoned?
I have no say in that. I'm running for governor. This isn't something a governor does. You're trying to twist this interview and trying to make me look bad.
You're a Republican. He's the Republican leader.
What I don't like is that people are being held in prison without being charged. That's un-American. Maybe they get away with that stuff in Australia. Perhaps in Australia, because you've given your rights away, you melted down all of your guns and you guys have no freedom, that you find that okay. But here in America, we do things differently. We have something called the U.S. Constitution, and we have rights.
So we'd be better off having more guns here. I mean, what? You'd be better off?
Yeah, you would. You absolutely would, sir. You absolutely would. I feel so sorry for the people in Australia. Have no power. The only thing keeping us from being Australia right now is our Second Amendment. And we will never, ever let that go. Mark my words. What we saw happening in Australia, where you have internment camps and people are being forced, if they've encountered anybody with COVID, to be locked into a quarantine camp, is the most horrifying thing I think I've ever seen a government do. It's frightening. And if you can't see that, I feel sorry for you.
Would it have been better?
This is our last question, Liam. We have to run, but thank you for your time.
Just answer me this one question. One more question, Kari.
No, I already told you we're done. Thank you so much.
Just
That guy's a complete nut. Seriously, a complete insane person.
It's here we need to tread carefully. Kari Lake and her many supporters don't tolerate differences of opinion. And the more excitable among them often resort to targeting opponents with vile abuse. Longtime Republican and now Trump enemy, Miles Taylor, lives with the threat of violence on a daily basis. He has personal security and moves homes regularly.
Just 2 days ago, among many other hate messages, and I'll bleep it for you, shut your effing mouth about Trump or pay the price. How did that person get my phone number? Why did that person feel compelled to reach out to me? Why did they feel compelled to threaten me? Because that's the phenomenon. And that's the phenomenon we're witnessing in the United States, is an explosion of political violence.
Worryingly, Miles Taylor may be right. But in the spirit of democracy, I think Kari Lake deserves the last word.
Liam, it was a pleasure meeting you. This has just become comical. I'm leaving. Actually, thank you for giving me a good laugh, because you actually make some of the crazy reporters and people at CNN look almost respectable. So thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kari. It's been a pleasure. Coming up,
Scott Morrison's got an issue with the truth.
the man who would be PM.
Sirius actually pursued you. Can you believe it?
Anthony Albanese's
You in love, Albert? Oh,
had a makeover.
I'm hungry to win. Literally hungry.
But what do the voters think?
Don't comment. People in brutal, aren't they, on the road?
That's next on 60 Minutes.
Footy's back in town. And 9 News is always front.